A crazy Karen thinks I'm just a security guard who can't do anything to her and tries to scam a store. I then reveal that I am a real police officer who's undercover, and that makes her flip out. It doesn't end well for her. Here's what happened. As a seasoned police officer, I've had the opportunity to experience a wide range of strange and peculiar situations throughout my career. However, last week, I encountered a situation that not only struck me as odd, but also humorous in nature. The incident occurred on a typical day where I was tasked with a stakeout, disguised as a security guard, donning my standard white shirt, black tie, and if I was out on patrol, a protective vest over the top, paired with one of the large pointed hats. But when taking a break, I would simply slip on my normal jacket to conceal my shoulder numbers to appear as an average individual in a white shirt and black tie to any casual onlooker. As I made my rounds through the mall, I was vigilant in searching for any signs of suspicious behavior. It was during my patrol in a clothing store that I heard a commotion coming from the back of the establishment. I immediately hastened my pace to investigate the source of the disturbance. To my surprise, I discovered a woman, who is the Karen, who was clearly agitated and creating a scene. She was clearly upset and was causing a scene. She was demanding to speak to the manager and making a fuss about a shirt she had bought. I stepped in and calmly asked, "Is everything all right here?" Karen immediately turned her attention to me, her eyes scanning me from head to toe. She must have mistaken me for a mall security guard, because she sneered. "Why the frick are you here? I don't need security. This little piece of shit won't give me my money back." I knew that I had to handle the situation with care. I couldn't let her know that I was a police officer, not yet at least. So I kept my cool and replied, "Okay, firstly, you need to stop swearing. Secondly, I'm a level up from security." Karen was clearly not impressed. She rolled her eyes and sneered, "Oh, piss off. I just want my money back, not some jumped up security guard interfering. Please frick off, you sack of shit." I knew that I had to take control of the situation before it escalated any further. So I stepped in and warned her, "Stop causing a scene and stop hitting that counter or you'll be arrested." Karen was not impressed. She sneered, "Don't tell me what to do, head ass. Who do you think you are, you wannabe cop? You can't arrest me. Get me your boss now too." I knew that I had to reveal my true identity. I unzipped my jacket to reveal that I was, in fact, a uniformed police officer. Karen's eyes widened as she saw the cuffs on my belt. She flipped out. "What the frickety frick? You're a cop? Are you serious? I can't believe this. I'm gonna sue your ass. Back off." "Ma'am, I'm warning you. You need to stop your behavior or you'll be arrested. Your behavior is causing disturbance and it's a public order offense." "Oh, a disturbance? You're so petty. Give me a break. You're just a mall cop. You can't arrest me. I know the management here. I'll have your job." "Ma'am, I'm not just a mall cop. I'm a police officer and I have the authority to arrest you. And I'm warning you, if you continue to cause a disturbance, you'll be arrested." Karen was furious. She was still trying to argue with me. As she was ranting, I couldn't help but notice that her shirt was in fact a knockoff brand. It was clear that she had tried to scam the store by purchasing a cheap imitation and then trying to return it for a full refund. I couldn't help but smirk at her audacity to try to pull off such a scam in the middle of a busy mall. But as a professional, I knew that I had to remain focused on the task at hand. I had to defuse the situation and maintain order. So I stepped in and placed her under arrest for disorderly conduct and disturbing the peace. I handcuffed her, read her rights, and then took her to the station. As we walked through the mall, I couldn't help but notice the stares and murmurs from the onlookers. Some were shocked, others were amused. I even caught a few people taking pictures and videos with their phones. I hope Karen was smiling, laughed my ass off. Once we arrived at the station, I processed Karen and charged her with disorderly conduct and disturbing the peace. She was fined over $150 and must have been sad since she was trying to scan the store for maybe a shirt worth a mere $50. After all was said and done, I couldn't help but laugh at the absurdity of the situation. Here I was, a seasoned police officer, dealing with a woman who was trying to scam a store over a knockoff shirt. But, as I always say, it's the little things that make the job interesting. This story from OP is just hilarious. I can't believe the level of craziness that this Karen was displaying. From demanding to speak to the manager to trying to scam the store, she was truly a piece of work. And the best part, OP was an undercover cop in disguise. I love the way he kept his cool and handled the situation with finesse. It's always satisfying to see Karen get put in their place. I wonder how stupid Karen felt after realizing OP was a police officer and not just a security guard. I mean, even if he was just a security guard, she probably would have gotten arrested too. A sleazy Karen demands that I, a cop, arrest a teenage girl in a minor car accident. But things take a turn when her own lies are exposed. Here's what happened. Many moons ago, I was a police officer in the UK. An exciting life of fast cars, drugs. No, wait. I was stationed for a year in a shopping center dealing with bratty kids and shoplifters. I just polished off a branded pastry. Crumbs cascaded down my stab vest when my radio kindly let me know that there was a hubbub in the car park. I donned my big pointy hat to ensure I could assert my full authority with a big boob on my head and made haste to the car park. The long and short of it was someone had opened a car door into another car. An accident and hardly a police matter. I arrived and reminisced longly for times gone by when I drive mid-range hatchbacks slightly above the speed limit to deal with the Facebook arguments in the suburbs. 2 cars, a semi-flash Audi and a much older little runaround. The Audi owner looked like an Audi owner, a typical Karen. The runaround owner, a teenage girl, 18 or 19, with decals showing she'd only recently passed her test. Now, the Audi was big and, I'm no forensic scientist, but it being parked virtually over the white line may have contributed to the, judging by Karen's shouting, horrific collision. I have a car, and it being minorly dented is annoying, yes. But this woman was screaming at the poor girl who looked almost in tears. So I stepped in, the boob-hatted hero of this tale. Karen is insistent, and loud, that I arrest the girl for criminal damage. The girl cries. I didn't want to arrest anyone, because paperwork. I tactfully let the Karen know that a minor accident is not criminal damage. This she dislikes and again insists, nay orders me to arrest the crying teenager in an increasingly high pitch, dropping in comparison between my pay and the value of her car, which was frankly unnecessary. I break out the old faithful, I need you to calm down, which roughly translates to, shut up before you become the issue. She doesn't. I decide to separate the two and suggest the teenager go wait 4 or 5 cars away. I again let Karen know, in no uncertain terms, that there has been no crime and that if she is adamant in pursuing the poor girl, the both of them could have insurance. Karen's eyes twinkled as she, referencing the ethnic background of the teen too, suggested the runaround probably wasn't insured. My patience is running thin, and I decide Karen has wholeheartedly failed the attitude test. I humor her and step aside to run a few checks with control. This is when the stars aligned. The runaround did have insurance, but the Audi was showing as insured for a male driver. I won't bore with dull insurance details, but it was her husband's car, and she thought the policy of her own car covered her for this. It didn't. I had tenaciously served the crown and uncovered a crime. I asked the teenager to leave. Karen almost burst a blood vessel. I whip out my trusted notepad, my most powerful weapon, and scribble some deeds as Karen becomes apologetic. I raise my hand to quiet her down. Okay, Miss Karen, I'm reporting you for driving without insurance. You'll receive further documentation in the post. She was stunned. I enjoyed this and the short-lived linked silence as I handed her a report and prepared the coup de grace. As she wasn't insured, I couldn't allow her to drive. I offered her a grapevine in that her husband could come pick her and the car up. She called me an idiot for not deducing her husband was clearly at work. I certainly felt like the idiot as I had the car seized while she waited for a taxi. Wow, this story is wild. I can't believe the level of entitlement and rudeness this woman had towards a teenager who had just accidentally dented her car. It's ridiculous that she was demanding the girl be arrested for criminal damage and making racist comments about her insurance. I love how the OP handled the situation, calmly and tactfully, and even managed to turn the tables on the entitled Karen by finding out she was driving without insurance. Karma is a beautiful thing. This next story is titled, We're having a 6th kid we can't afford, so we expect you to give us your college fund. I'm 19-year-old female and my parents' second child. I have 3 brothers, 21, 13, and 7, and a sister, 16. We grew up poor and our parents were often dependent on financial help from relatives, friends, etc. for raising us. This is because even though my dad has a mediocre job and my mom doesn't work, they just kept on popping out one kid after another. My parents are very religious and believe that children are a gift from God. Personally, I think that's total BS. My parents' reproductive choices wouldn't bother me if it hadn't caused mine and my siblings' lives to turn to shit. While growing up, we never had new clothes or toys. We had to accept handouts from family members who were better off. We never went out or did anything fun. To top it off, we were well aware that the rest of the family looked down on us for constantly asking for handouts. Now, my older brother and I have managed to get into good colleges and are looking forward to a future that would be better than our parents' lives. He and I were staying at our parents' place for a while due to the COVID-19 lockdown. One morning, my parents called all 5 of us into the living room. Mom said she had great news. The smile that was forming on my face died a quick death when she said, "We're pregnant." I lost my temper. I asked them how they could be so stupid and irresponsible. Did they not have enough financial troubles already that they had to bring in another mouth to feed? My older brother tried to calm me down, but I was livid. After a lifetime of scarcity because of my parents' stupidity, they still hadn't learned their lesson. I asked them how they planned to provide for the kid. My dad told me I would have to give up the money our great uncle had left me. He had left all 5 of us some money which only we could access when we turned 18. I said, hell no. That money would help pay for my college expenses. He called me selfish for not being there for family. I told them if they couldn't provide for a kid, they should get an abortion. My mom started crying and called me a heartless monster. Dad told me he was disgusted with me. I told him there was no way I was going to pay for their stupidity and the only thing I would be willing to pay for is a termination. What I was really worried about was my siblings' lives getting even worse. My older brother and I have escaped my parents' clutches, but the others, especially my younger sister, will be expected to help take care of this baby. No teenager deserves to have their adolescence ruined by diapers and a screaming baby. I know what it's like, as I had to go through that. It was expected of me to be an unpaid nanny to my younger brothers and sister. My older brother could go out with his friends and have fun, but I had to stay home and help give baths and feed the toddlers. I decided to get some family members involved so they could talk some sense into my parents. I called my mom's maternal cousin. She's one of my favorite people. When I told her that mom and dad were having another kid, she reacted with, "What? Again?" I told her everything and how they expected me to hand over my inheritance. She said she was going to speak to my parents and told me not to sign anything over. I promised her I wouldn't. Of course I won't. I also called two of my first cousins, one of whom is an accountant, so she could explain to my parents how much of a financial liability this baby is going to be and try to convince them to either abort or give it up for adoption. I moved out of my parents' home a few days ago. I was only going to stay there till the lockdown was relaxed, but I just can't bear to listen to my mom's nagging about how this baby's a blessing and that I want to kill it. I've moved into a friend's basement for a minimal rent. My mom's cousin paid them a visit about a week ago and tried to tell them they weren't doing this child any favors by bringing it into a life of poverty. My mom was very rude to my aunt and told her that a woman who chose to remain barren will never understand a mother's love. My aunt never wanted kids nor had any. One of the reasons she's my fave. My dad told her to get out. Aunt told me that there was nothing she could do, but she did try. I didn't blame her. The cousin tried to explain the economic impact this kid would have, and my mom cried about how everyone was trying to take away her baby, like WTF. The intervention didn't do shit, so now I've decided to cut contact with my parents. I just can't watch my family slide further and further into a hellhole. I'll be maintaining contact with my sister, who's 16, just to make sure my parents can't brainwash her. My older brother is going to stay in touch with all of them, which is a good thing as he can act as a link between me and the other siblings if my parents ever forbid them from talking to me. Otherwise, I'm done with these people. I applaud you. You don't owe them your college fund. They made their bed. They can lay in it. You might want to discuss with your siblings about it, signing anything over to their parents if uncle lets you all some money. Anyways, check out one of the videos on screen. Trust me, it'll be worth it.